President Mahinda Rajapaksa has congratulated US President Barack Obama on his re-election for a second term in office. The President's office notes that the President has sent a message congratulating the US President.
The President notes that the keenly contested election reinforces the trust the American people have placed in Barack Obama. President Rajapaksa notes that the American people have endorsed Obama's policies on democracy, world peace and international relations through this vote. The message notes that the President, together with all Sri Lankans, extend their warm wishes to President Barack Obama for his second term in office.
United Nations Secretary General Ban Ki-moon, speaking exclusively to News First at the UN headquarters in New York, says that it is high time that President Mahinda Rajapaksa promotes further national reconciliation following the end of the conflict in Sri Lanka over 3 years ago. News First is the only electronic media organization in Sri Lanka to interview a Secretary General of the United Nations in its 67-year history.
Secretary General, you visited Sri Lanka following the end of the conflict in May 2009. It's been 3 years following the end of the conflict in Sri Lanka now. What are your observations now on Sri Lanka?
I'm encouraged that the Sri Lankan government has been trying to promote the reconciliation among the peoples and try to overcome this aftermath of very difficult period. At the same time, I've been urging President Rajapaksa and Foreign Minister to do more because there are very important recommendations which was made by the lessons learned and national reconciliation. All these recommendations should be implemented without further delay. This is the expectation of the international community. Now, as President Rajapaksa was re-elected, he has a strong mandate. It's high time for him to exercise his political leadership to promote further the national reconciliation. And I'm encouraged that most of the internally displaced people have been able to be resettled in their own home country, home state, provinces. But again, how to provide necessary assistance to them will be a key priority for them.
Human rights and accountability were two areas that the UN had focused its attention on following the end of the conflict in Sri Lanka, Mr. Secretary General. Even you appointed a commission in this regard following the end of the conflict. Where do you position human rights and accountability in terms of Sri Lanka right now?
We hope that the government of Sri Lanka will focus more in further promoting and protecting the human rights of all. There is clearly issues emanating from the minority groups, Tamil, their grievances and complaints, their well-being should be well addressed. I have been urging President Rajapaksa and all high-level authorities of Sri Lankan government that without addressing these issues, without properly protecting the human rights of minority groups, particularly Tamil and the women and the girls, marginalized group of people, you cannot say that Sri Lanka will be able to live in a harmonious country.
Mr. Secretary General, do you see commitment from the part of the Sri Lankan government to ensure human rights and accountability in the country?
That's what I have been assured by the President Rajapaksa and the ministers. But at the same time, they should also know that there is a higher expectation from the international community. The Sri Lankan government has gone through this universal periodic review by the Human Rights Council, and there was a resolution adopted by this Human Rights Council. All the elements of this Human Rights Council resolution and the recommendations by the Human Rights Council through universal periodic review should be implemented without any delay. Yeah.
Mr. Secretary General, do you think Sri Lanka is being singled out as far as human rights and accountability issues are concerned? Why not discuss about the issues that took place in Libya, Iraq, and even Afghanistan?
Human rights is a universal right. It's not that Sri Lanka is only singled out. I don't think any country in the world has been singled out because there have been complaints and there have been abuses of human rights in the course of the war, fighting against terrorist groups. Everybody's human rights and dignity should be promoted.
And the second part of the interview between News First and UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon will be telecast on our primetime news tomorrow.
Well, the 2013 budget was presented in Parliament today by President Mahinda Rajapaksa in his capacity as the Minister of Finance. As promised, here are several other proposals contained in the 2013 budget.
The budget has provided tax breaks to foster the growth of the renewable energy sector, while a number of proposals have also been forwarded to broaden the scope of local agricultural products.
සීනිවලට ආදේශනය කළ හැකි දේශීය හකුරු පැණියා අතිරේක නිෂ්පාදන පුළුල් කිරීම සඳහා
An opportunity will be given to tap coconut trees and kettle trees in order to promote jaggery as a substitute to sugar.
නිෂ්පාදනයට පමණයි පැණිවලට විතරයි මේ දේශීය බීම හදන්න බෑ.
The 2013 budget also proposes that the replanting subsidiary for tea smallholders be increased by 50,000 rupees in order to encourage replanting. The proposal also noted that 25,000 acres of underutilized land, which were identified through the 2012 budget proposal, be distributed among 12,500 entrepreneurial youth on a 30-year lease basis. The import taxes imposed on equipment used in garment factories will be reduced from 5% to 2.5% through the new budget. In order to develop SMEs in the country, the 2013 budget proposes that the applicable annual turnover for taxation be raised to 500 million rupees to allow SMEs to benefit from the low tax rate of 10%. A special loan scheme for SMEs has also been proposed through the budget. The loans will be given away by the Samruddhi Bank. The budget proposal also notes that the tax code for local government institutions must be simplified, while local bodies could issue bonds to raise money in order to fund programs which are being done together with the Urban Development Authority. It was also proposed that import duties and VAT be exempted on machinery and equipment imported by local authorities, which have a strong revenue capacity to finance such imports. Vehicle revenue license fees have been increased in order to boost the income levels of provincial councils. The 2013 budget proposes that go-karts and specially designed racing vehicles be exempted from the Special Excise Provision Act to facilitate the availability of such equipment for sports events. In order to assist domestic entrepreneurs to create great value in the tourism economy, the budget proposes to offer a 25% discount on the lease rental of properties as determined by the government chief valuer. In the education sector, a total of 1,600 million rupees will be allocated to set up 20 technical colleges attached to vocational university colleges, while a further 350 million rupees have been allocated to expand the capacity of 5 agricultural training schools.
Due to a Supreme Court ruling, we have to induct 5,000 more students to universities. The existing infrastructure in universities is not enough to cater to this number. I propose a supplementary budgetary allocation of 4,000 million rupees for university education expansion.
රුපියල් මිලියන 4,000ක් පරිපූර්ණක ප්‍රතිපාදකයක් වෙන් කිරීමට මා යෝජනා කරනවා.
The 2013 budget also proposes that the taxes imposed on vehicles that are imported on tax concessions be increased by 10 to 20%. Meanwhile, the budget also proposes that the taxes imposed on foreign spirits be increased by 25%.
Well, government and opposition parliamentarians also expressed their views on the 2013 budget.
නිෂ්පාදන ආර්ථිකයක් සඳහා ශ්‍රී ලංකාව යොමු කිරීම සඳහා
It is a budget which has brought Sri Lanka into a production-based economy. Attention has been focused on small-scale producers such as farmers, planters, those engaged in pottery. Funds have been allocated to provide special loan schemes for women and help women to engage in self-employment. We have also provided the highest salary increase given at once.
අවධානය යොමු කරලා තියෙනවා විශේෂයෙන්ම කාන්තාවන් වෙනුවෙන් විශේෂ ණය පහසුකම් සපයන්න ඒ වගේම ඔවුන්ට ස්වයං රැකියා වලට යොමු කිරීමට සමස්ත
The ordinary people have nothing. A tax holiday has been given to big businessmen. They said the salaries will be increased, but what has been given? The cost of living has increased by 5,000 rupees, but a 1,000 rupee increase has been given to the state sector employees. That too will be given in two parts. The focus of this budget has been a certain upper class group.
ඒකත් කොටස් දෙකකින් දෙන්න තිබෙන්නේ. ඉතින් මේක තුලින් පේන්න තියෙන ඉලක්ක කළ තියෙන සුපිරි පන්තේ යම් පිරිසක්.
අයවැය සම්ප්‍රදායික කියවිය යුතු නිසා
The budget was read as a tradition. The people have not received anything from the budget. I see this as a budget presented by 1% for the benefit of 1%, while 99% gets nothing.
කියලා 99%කට කිසි දෙයක් නැහැ.
So 2013 we want to get back onto that growth path of 7 to 8% growth in GDP in spite of a very difficult external situation. We are now no longer LDC, least developed country. We are a middle income country. Now we want to climb up in that middle income country status. For that you have to make investments. How are you going to make investments? That is by earning locally everything that can be done so that we can save on the outflow of foreign exchange.
විශේෂයෙන් නූරේලියා බදුල්ල වගේ දිස්ත්‍රික්ක එකෙන් ඉන්න ජනතාව ගොඩක් මේ
The residents of Nuwara and Badulla districts have been totally neglected. We are trying to get them some relief. Mahinda Chintana 1 and 2 said that relief will be given. But we expected this through the budgets. The ordinary salary of an individual is between 3,000 and 5,000. Therefore, due to the increase in inflation, they are unable to live without relief. We expect subsidies for them from the government.
දැන් අමාරු වෙනවා දැන් ඉන්ෆ්ලේෂන් එක වැඩි වෙලා තියෙනවා රජයෙන් අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා ඒකට සබ්සිඩිස් දෙන්න ඕනේ කියලා
නගරයේ තිබුණු සංවර්ධනය නගරයෙන්
We see this as an important budget which takes the development which was centered in the cities to the villages and results in eradicating poverty in the country. Details have been included in a manner where economic development as well as spiritual development could be achieved. This budget is nothing more than something made from a previous recipe with a new wrapper. This is an unsuccessful extension of the budgets proposed throughout the past 7 years. It does not include anything to lead the country towards a new economic journey. The price of fertilizer has indirectly been increased up to 500 rupees.
දැන් වක්‍රාකාරයකින් රුපියල් 500 දක්වා වැඩි කොට තිබෙනවා.
මම මේ අයවැය දකින්නේ
I view this budget as something which is of no use to the public and gives no relief to the public. Distributing 200 million rupees among 11,000 Buddhist temples means that one vihara will get only an amount of about 18,000 rupees.
බෙදෙනවා කියන්නේ එක විහාරස්ථානයකට රුපියල් 18,000ක් වැනි සොච්චම් මුදලක්. ජනතා හිතවාදී අයවැයක්.
It is not a people-friendly budget. It is also not a budget which will develop the country. I don't think it is a budget which plans ahead for the future either. We cannot see an increase in the salary of the state sector employees investing for the education and health sectors in the country. We should study this closely.
It was a feel-good budget. It's not a very practical budget because if you look at it, last year they promised 8% GDP, it's coming down to 6. Now they're promising more growth next year. If you look at the export picture, right, the export-import gap has widened. There were no clear proposals as to how that was going to actually be brought down.
Turning our attention to the US election now. Yesterday, Barack Obama defeated Republican challenger Mitt Romney to be re-elected as the 45th President of the United States of America. Speaking to his supporters after his victory, Obama said he would return to the White House more determined and more inspired than ever about the work there is to do and the future that lies ahead. Let's now take a look at the US presidential campaign trial, courtesy of CNN.
Rick Santorum,
Michelle Bachmann,
and Newt Gingrich, Mitt Romney, and Ron Paul,
Tim Pawlenty,
Herman Cain,
to seek the office of the presidency of the United States today.
Lower taxes, cut taxes, create jobs, creating jobs,
To repeal of Obamacare.
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 Obamacare. Obamacare was a reflection of the president's comments that he designed Obamacare on the Massachusetts healthcare plan.
999.
It's 3 agencies of government when I get there that are gone. Commerce, education, and the, what's the third one there? Let's see.
I am suspending